Welcome to a special edition of Legal AF. While we're watching the demolition of the White House, while we're watching the scandal erupt around the ballroom building, that's not the only construction project that Donald Trump's trying to take advantage of and for which there's a whiff of scandal. There's another one going on in Miami and Miami-Dade County involving Governor DeSantis and a valuable piece of property in Miami owned by Miami-Dade College, the largest public university in America, where that piece of property, it looks like it's worth somewhere upwards of $400 million, but is being ordered to be turned over to the state to be given for free to Donald Trump for something, a components of a presidential library, parking lot, visitor center, who knows what it is. And the worst part of it, the public doesn't know anything about it because it wasn't given proper notice before the trustees of Miami-Dade College got together in I don't want to call it a smoke-filled room, but it certainly wasn't a transparent room one morning without YouTube and voted or were ordered to vote to transfer it for free to the state, a piece of property they bought 20 years ago for about $24 million. This is not a wealthy university, despite the fact that it's one of the largest universities in America. They could use the spare $400 million for something. Fortunately, there are lawyers, as we've said, the first line of defense, lawyers going into courtrooms to challenge things that are wrong. And I was fortunate enough in covering the story about the Trump Library in Miami to actually know the lawyers that were involved in this case. And when I saw that Andres Rivero was the lawyer that had actually filed a temporary restraining order and obtained a temporary restraining order, I said, oh, I got to try to get Andres, who's so amazing and his firm's so great that I, Michael Popok, even referred cases to them. In terms of full disclosure, we like to bring the newsmakers, we like to bring the people that are in the trenches onto the show to brief our audience. And I'm so pleased and honored to have Andres Rivero join us. Hi, Andres.
Hey, Michael. Thank you so much for that great introduction. And it's great to see you.
You as well. All right. I did a hot take about sort of the basics, but let me just do one line of framing, then I'm going to turn it all over to you about what's going on in the courtroom. Because this matters to our audience. This is yet another scandal, not the Arc de Trump, not the ballroom, but the presidential library where it looks like he's taking $400 million from a university whose faculty and students could probably use it. I'll let you comment a little bit more on that. And is facing public opposition, where it looks like 70 to 80% of Miami-Dade County, which is very heavy Republican in certain parts, is opposed to Miami-Dade College. A lot of them are alumni or alumna opposed to this. So I passed that parcel. You've passed that parcel. We've tried to park at it during a Miami Heat game. It's right across the street from the Heat Arena, the Wolfson campus, acquired for this ever-expanding Miami-Dade College, 63 acres, a beautiful site. Tell our audience what happened in the middle of the night, what you guys caught about your plaintiff, about your hearing, and catch them up about what happens next.
I'm going to get right into what happened. But Michael, I want to comment. And of course, you, having been in Miami and being back in Miami, know what we're talking about. I just want to make sure the audience understands. There's almost 3 acres of land right next to the iconic Freedom Tower. So many people's families in this community, including mine, went through that Freedom Tower. That is the Ellis Island of the southeastern United States. And not just Cuban Americans, but I'm Cuban American. This is, when I say iconic, this is really an important symbol of this community. It's 3 acres right there. And as you were saying, the issue is they're giving it away. And there's no guarantee that a presidential library would ever be built there. Let me tell you what happened. A professor, I have to give a lot of credit to Dr. Marvin Dunn. Dr. Marvin Dunn saw what was going on, and he sort of put out feelers. I had known this Dr. Dunn, and got connected to him. And what he was concerned about is what is the truth. The notice given by the college for this transaction, that's somewhere, the real value is somewhere between $350 and $400 million, free and clear owned by the college, is to be given away to the Trump Presidential Foundation in exchange for only this. Within 5 years, they have to start building a component of a presidential library, museum, or center, whatever that means. And when we looked at the notice, which was given 7 days notice, and the timeline is really important, here's what the notice says. The board is going to consider potential real estate transactions. That's it.
That's supposed to tell the public that they're about to give away their major asset for up to $400 million for free. Is that what you're telling our audience?
That's it. And this is, as you say, this is the largest public university in the United States. They have 6 campuses. They have more than 500 acres of land. How is anybody to know that potential real estate transactions means this extraordinarily important and extraordinarily valuable property right in the middle of downtown next to Freedom Tower? They didn't say anything.
I was gonna joke with you. By the way, the Freedom Tower thing is such an important piece. It's such an, like you said, an iconic totemic piece, especially of the diaspora of the Cuban community here. My family came through the Ellis Island. This is always referred to, even though I hadn't seen it in the national press referred to it this way, but we've always referred to it here in Miami as the Ellis Island of Miami. And to have this next to it and then give it away for free to this particular president. I was going to joke with you before you came on. I gave you notice, Andres, that we were going to get together to talk about a case somewhere in America. Is that proper notice to you?
That would be about the equivalent, Michael. And let me just say, the thing is, we have in Florida, and this is really important. It was groundbreaking when it was passed in Florida. We have the Government in the Sunshine Act, which is based in our Constitution. It's a really serious right. And fortunately, up till now, the courts have said this is a really important right. If a violation of the Sunshine Law is presumed to be irreparable injury to the public, just as a starting point. So let me tell the timeline, though, Michael. It's important. So 7 days before, they issued this notice that tells the only way you could know what was going on is if you were in on the deal. So 7 days later, they call a meeting at 8 a.m. in the morning. They do the pledge. They do the moment of silence. By 8:03, they voted unanimously to give away this land. 8:03 a.m.
That's a lot of thought process by these fiduciaries.
But it goes beyond that. By 8:11 a.m., Florida Attorney General, I think it's Uthmeyer, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Releases a slickly produced video about the project. 8 minutes later. If this wasn't decided in advance, how could they know to do the video, to have it ready by 8:11? It's crazy.
Were you able to bring those facts in with Judge Ruiz, the 11th Circuit judge who's handling this matter?
Look, I want to say that Judge Ruiz has been extremely careful, and she's relied on what's really clear on the record, because, it's a TRO. The ability to develop evidence and the rest is very limited. The notice in and of itself that she found is just not notice of anything. And that's the key. And she was very careful, I think you know this, to say it's not a political issue. It's a legal issue. You've got to give notice so the public knows and can express their opinions.
There are many parts of your elegant complaint. Give you a lot of credit. It takes a lot, and I know it from 35 years in practice, to get it all done in 10 pages. Nothing says this is a simple issue than a beautifully drafted 10-page complaint. I'm going to give you a little chef's kiss there related to that. Here's what you wrote, or here's what your team wrote on paragraphs 25 and 26 on page 7, which we'll put up on the screen. According to Vice Chair Alonso, the district board took this action because the Office of the President of the United States requested the board, without explanation, to convey the land to the state, so that, according to Alonso, he and his fellow district board members did not know what the request was for. So we're not only in the dark, the people voting on the transfer for free are in the dark. You continue, but he said, there's not many options. I love this candor here. We're appointed by the governor. Alonso, interviewed on local television, made no mention of the request from the federal government and said that they had, quote, received a request by the state to convey over a piece of property on our Wolfson campus. Irrespective of the specific circumstances of this giveaway, the speedy and uncritical transfer of the land to the state for nothing, without any serious deliberation, without any economic analysis, and on information and belief solely because the governor or the president or both wanted the board to do so, was a violation of the duty of care owed to the college by the board members. Right now, the case is about notice. Does it become about something else down the road?
Look, right now, what we've alleged is the notice is defective, but I want to say as clearly as I can, we're going to get a chance to depose these individuals who made this vote. The timing is, I think the current term would be sus. It's extremely suspicious. And if it comes out, and I'm not saying this exists, but if it comes out that there were discussions of what they were going to do that involved the members themselves, that would be a violation of the Sunshine Law and a violation in general of law. That would be very serious. I, frankly, as Judge Mabel Ruiz said, think these folks why don't they do the notice right and do the meeting and let the people express their opinions and then take their vote after giving the public a chance?
Well, I think one of the reasons, and as people may know, in a prior life, and it seems like a prior life ago, I did a fair amount of municipal government representation and representing boards just like this one. I know my way around the Florida Sunshine Law and government in the sunshine, and I know a fair amount about good and welfare when people get to stand up and talk at meetings and object. And now the polling in the area by independent sources say that this transaction, I'll just put it in common parlance, stinks, and nobody's in favor of it. I mean, you got 70 to 80% of Miami-Dade County saying no, and a lot of them being Republicans. So if they do it properly, which I guess is their fear, I assume the public will now, there'll be public outcry about it.
Look, we can't force them to do the right thing. What we can do is we can get a finding. We have an initial finding that this was improper notice, which means there was no proper approval. It's just void. And by the way, I just want to say one thing. I need to make a shout out to co-counsel Richard Brodsky, who's a brilliant litigator and is doing a great job with us on this case.
I know Richard too, and his background with some government litigation and all that. That's a really great team that you put together. Is there a twist here? Is the state trying to get involved?
Yeah, it's disappointing. The Attorney General had a press conference last Thursday, called our lawsuit a bogus lawsuit, and he assigned the Solicitor General and the Deputy Solicitor General of the state to our case. And just now, within the last hour, they filed a motion to stay the proceedings. So the state is coming in heavy into this.
They're coming. Hey, that's a phrase. They're coming heavy. Well, Andres, I'm so glad, and I know our audience is too, to know there are valiant lawyers out there with the courage to take on the Trump administration, take on just things that are wrong. Just keep your eye on justice and on the rule of law. And I think that's what your firm has always been about. I know you personally, a man of high honor and character, about that. I had the honor over the weekend during No King's Day to interview as a special guest Attorney General Rob Bonta of California, in California, during the protests. And he had a great phrase. I'm going to apply it to you. There's three things that the American public have at their disposal: courts, crowds, and courage. And I think you're definitely demonstrating at least two of the three. And I think all three, by the time this is done, the courts, of course, and firms like yours that are fighting the good fight, the courage to do it. And then, of course, crowds would be the public criticism that's necessary to stop bad things from happening.
And Michael, thank you for doing this, because it's very important that the public know what's happening.
And will you come back on with us when we get a little further along in the case and update our audience?
I'd be happy to.
Andres Rivero Mestre in Coral Gables, Florida, who's leading the fight on behalf of his client, Professor Marvin Dunn, about the Trump, I'll call it the presidential library. I'm not even sure they call it that. And a giveaway, attempted giveaway of a $400 million parcel that a college owns, a public college owns in Miami, and it's in court. And you're getting real-time and in real-life updates right here on Legal AF. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button if you want to support this type of interviews and this type of content. Now would be the time to do it. We're always under attack on Midas Touch and Legal AF. Hit the subscribe button. Come over to Legal AF Substack, where I will be posting the lawsuit and a couple of other documents related to the case so that you can read them for yourself. For Michael Popok, thank you, Andres, for joining us.
Thank you.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.